All right, so we're up in a few minutes, really. All right, we're live. Um, Now, here's the fact. From boardrooms to bedrooms everywhere, people always ask these questions. Where exactly is the place of a woman? In what sectors should women actually aspire to? And in what sectors can a woman really attain success and get to positions on leaderships? And for what reason, really? Why should a woman actually want to be a leader in some of these sectors we consider as the male-dominated sectors? My name is Evelyn Haruna, and this is UPSURGE, a virtual conversation where we inspire creativity and we ignite action towards the economic growth of women. Um, if UPSURGE is hosted by She Lives International, and we have the support of Oxfam in Nigeria, and you're all welcome. Today, I have with me a cross-section of guests from various sectors, and my guests are not just amazing, but they are thought leaders. They are people whose voices matter in the race to build the intellectual quotient of women. And in the next few minutes, really, I'll run you through the guests I have one at a time. We have, I always call her Doctor, but she's now uplifted from Doctor. This is Professor Alisa Whyte. We have Yolanda, and we have Paul Whyte. Naturally, would have asked you to introduce yourselves, but because we don't have so much time, we just have 1 hour to go across everybody. So for that reason, I will just make a brief introduction of all the guests I have in the house, in no particular order. Dr. Alisa Whyte. She is that entrepreneur who started her journey at the age of 9 years. She started out at the age of 9. She found purpose. And since then, it's been from one business to the other. Alisa has empowered startups. She's strengthened women. She's built businesses, and she continues to do so. Alisa is also the CEO of the Female Entrepreneurs Network. That's the FEN, or FEN, if you like to say it. And recently, she's so committed to helping women build better lives for themselves, both not just within her scope, but she's now spread her tentacles all the way to Africa, building schools, providing social amenity. Alisa, we're so proud of you. Everybody help me celebrate Alisa Whyte. Yeah, then there's also Yolanda Schmidt. Yolanda is one of the rarest women I've ever met. Yolanda, it's not just successful at the martial arts, but Yolanda, who, by the way, was South African born, is an Australian professional fighter, and she is a 2017 world champion, and a 2018 world champion, and a 2019 world champion. So if you ask me, I will tell you that Yolanda is such a big deal in her sport, and we're so glad to have you, Yolanda. You're welcome.
Thank you.
Yeah. Then Paul Whyte. Paul Whyte is an author and a veteran of the British Navy. He's seen a fair share of blood. He's seen a fair share of guns, and he's here with us right now. He's a father, he's a grandfather, and he's a friend to so many, including me. And maybe because of his vast experiences, he's taking so much pleasure in strengthening women, and he's a gender advocate, really, if you would ask me. Everybody, that is Paul Whyte, sitting right in our midst today. Paul Whyte, you're welcome.
Yeah, thank you.
All right. We also have Dr. Rima Diab. She's just joining us, and that's Dr. Rima Diab. Before we move ahead, Dr. Rima Diab, we're not seeing your visuals. If you could give us your visuals before I introduce you, it will be my pleasure. We lost Dr. Rima Diab, but we will go ahead and I will introduce her when she comes back live. To start this show today, I don't know who would go first, but here are the things we want to talk about. We are discussing the dynamics of the male-dominated sectors. We want to understand why the male-dominated sectors work the way they do, with the goal of bringing in more women into the male-dominated sectors. And for starters, I would ask Yolanda Schmidt. I've spoken to Yolanda, and she's such an inspiring person. But the question I keep asking myself, why should anyone be interested in boxing and being boxed? Why should anyone be interested in being beaten? She's chosen a really, yeah.
My sister asks me that question all the time. Why do you want to get hit in the face?
Yeah. Was it a decision or is it destiny?
I think Moita found me. I witnessed a lot of abuse in my family, and I never wanted to be put into that position where I couldn't defend myself. So it actually started just for self-defense and eventually led to being a competitive sport where, you know, I put my 100% into it, and look where I am now, you know, a competitive athlete, and it is a sport that isn't as male-dominated as it used to be when I started. So
and when was that started? I just asked when you started the sport, really.
I started training in 2012 for fitness, to improve my fitness for my dancing. I was a dancer, and to learn some self-defense. And in 2013, October 2013, on my birthday, I weighed in for my very first fight. And after my fourth fight, I turned professional.
That's amazing. So it was not a destiny thing. It was a decision you consciously made.
Yeah, after I'd been training, and it was just all about self-defense and fitness and self-defense and fitness, I just had someone who trained alongside me, a man named Scotty, and he kind of planted the seed that he believed I could make something of myself in the sport, and he kept encouraging me that it's a possibility, and eventually that seed grew, and I took a chance and went up to my trainer and asked him if I could compete.
Wow.
And yeah.
All right, Yolanda, thanks for adding your voice. Before we move ahead, I would take the moment to introduce Dr. Rima Diab. Now, Dr. Rima Diab is an expert at artificial intelligence. Yeah, she is an expert at artificial intelligence. She is also the CEO of Galaxy Technology, where she promotes the robot. Yeah, she believes the robot will take over the world soon, and she works with governments of nations to advise them on youth integration and how to bring more young people into the future of work and into the jobs of the future. Dr. Rima Diab is also a consultant for the famous Tesla Motors, and she doesn't just consult for Tesla Motors. She also writes for the World Economic Forum. And Dr. Rima Diab has truly made a mark for herself in every sector she's found herself. So please welcome Dr. Rima Diab.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. My pleasure. Thank you. My pleasure. Thank you for this kind of introduction. And thank you for being with me today.
All right. All right. So Yolanda, we will come back, and when we come back, we will be asking you about Scooby, the man who truly inspired you to take this giant leap. But before we come back, Professor Alisa Whyte, this is yours. Women, we know very well that we could actually aspire to any goal we like, and we could actually become anything we truly want to be. But here's my question. in your work with women, both as a business coach and as a business woman, how frequently do you meet women who tell you that I'm going into this business and all I want to be is to be great at it, or all I want to do is to make so much money from this thing I'm doing? Because I always have this thing, I don't know if it's a meeting or it's an everybody thing, that at times as women, we shortchange ourselves. At times as women, we try to limit our aspirations. You meet a man and he's into business and he tells you that all I want is to make so much money. All I want is to dominate my industry. How frequently do you meet women who truly can say that all they want is to dominate their industry and to make a difference? The Professor Alisa Whyte.
So that's an awesome question. And as you reel it out, I'm processing it. It's very deep. What I found when I was younger and a business student, and most of my classrooms at college, both in the US and in Guyana, it was definitely male dominated at the time. And I took quite a few entrepreneurship classes along my journey because I've always known that that's my ultimate goal. However, I would like to say my observation, let's say maybe around 2015 to now, the number of women who are more likely or more interested or set on going into becoming an entrepreneur or working in business and leadership fields, for me, has been even more, it's the largest number. And actually research is showing that we're currently looking at the largest number of women who are wanting to be in business leadership or particularly start their own business. And the research is there. However, we still have a lot, and this is why I know you brought this conversation to light. We still have a lot of setbacks, and I can't wait for my fellow panelists here to dive into some of what are the setbacks and what are the things that we need to do to ensure that women just not only desire to enter the field, but truly have a space in the industry of business and leadership, whether it's as an entrepreneur, a CEO, a business leader, but we're sitting at the tables where the decisions are made in our communities, in our cities, in our states, and in our countries and the world globally, like Dr. Rima has been doing already.
Yeah, so we agreeing that there's an improvement. Really, we might not really have gotten to the point where we really achieve the height we're targeting, but it's getting better by the day, and we're hoping that it's going to continue getting better at an even faster rate, I believe, right? All right, thank you, Alisa.
If I would mention too, some of the training and entrepreneurship training that I've been doing, business leadership and entrepreneurship, and Evelyn, you're a part of one of those. I've seen what is really interesting to me is to listen to young women in their teens and even preteen that are so focused on being a leader in STEM, in different fields. And so I'm like, you could imagine me, I don't want to give my age away, but I'm like, this is awesome. And that's why I'm on the bandwagon to lend my ear and hands and whatever I have to them, even on volunteer time, and bring as many experts along with me to pour into them to ensure that they reach that. And so also I want to point out that we're not going to do this. One of my main things is to say, we're not going to be able to accomplish the goal of bringing women into business and leadership without the complete partnership of men and women coming together in a mindset that we all need each other to make this and achieve all the goals that we have. We'll be better off. And I'll share some points later on why I think so. If we can just agree that the world is a much better place if we have women and men at the table working together. I think Evelyn has a little bit network glitch.
Right.
Anyone? Oh, thank you.
Thank you.
Well, if
Now
I
it's a
just
bit cracky.
if I just jump in here then and pick up a little bit on both what Alisa and Yolanda said, without giving away my age, you can see how old I am. I'm ancient. A lot of the issue, as I see it, from a sort of a wider perspective, is one of sort of a social concept. If we go back to the war, the Second World War, women were put into work and positions because the men were going away. Previously, they were told they can't do heavy industry, they can't do this, they can't do that. And the younger generation don't quite understand that. They talk about these glass ceilings and things. For me, how I see it is, how do I explain this? It seems like in a lot of cases, women are asking permission from governments or corporations, organizations, to be able to achieve what they want to. And it shouldn't be like that. It's a human right that they can do anything that they want. And it's got to have an attitude change in society. I mean, it is happening where Yolanda has made it to the top of her field. We see women's football coming on. We see women's motor racing coming on now, sort of Formula One type motor racing. It is changing slowly. But I think women need to, that's generalizing, which you shouldn't do, but women need to say, look, this is my right. You're putting obstacles in my way. I should not have to ask or beg you for permission. And yeah, that's my primary thoughts on it. Thank you.
Yeah. All right. That's good, Paul. A moment. All right. Before we continue, yeah, based on what you said, Paul Whyte, I want to ask Rima Diab. Now, even among ourselves in being tech, artificial intelligence it's not just a field that is new, that people do not know so much about. Now, going into artificial intelligence, like he rightly said about needing someone to give us the green light, needing someone to tell us that, okay, go, you can do this, and give us the permission to succeed. How much of that permission did you actually need to seek for? Did you just decide that this is what I want to do? Did you go for it? And I mean, artificial intelligence is one thing. They're talking Tesla Motors, talking presidents, like it's such a big deal. Now, if you could advise a little girl, if you could actually lay your heart bare and can see, what will you say were the obstacles you met or led that one decision that you were going to go into AI, and you're not for yourself, but you're also going into AI for the young people you meet, the young people in Jordan and the young people in the neighboring countries. Yeah. Dr. Rima Diab, that's for you.
Dr. Rima, you're muted. We can't hear you. We're sorry.
She's muted, right?
It was my great pleasure to be with you guys. And really, to go with artificial intelligence, it is not an easy sector for women, especially in the tech field. That's why I came from telecom background. I was the CEO and managing director of Nokia and Alcatel. It is a French telecommunication company. So I was having needs in my community, especially that Jordan has hosting the most people of refugees, especially the Syrian refugees. And there was a need for these kind of people in needs in the remote area or in the refugees camps to empower them with the technology. So I founded Galaxy in 2015 just for the purpose of how to empower women through technology, especially in the remote area and the refugees camps. And this is the needs, what I founded, that I have to fill the gap between our education system and our market needs, and how to make women more accessible for the technology, and how to make her own project through technology. This kind of passion I have, I put it in Galaxy, my own organization that having dedicated to empower women through technology in the remote area, in the refugees camps. Making this kind of revolution, to be honest with you, in Jordan, a small community, and not provided with what I need from the ecosystem, the support from even the woman itself in the remote area, because this artificial intelligence is a new concept for them. How to empower them with the programming skills, how to provide them with the IoT or something, especially in technology. So you need, first of all, to have this kind of needs assessment, what they need, and how to make artificial intelligence accessible for them, and how to make their revenue from this kind of artificial intelligence. So our first step was how to raise awareness about the artificial intelligence, the new concept of the fourth revolution industry skills, the future skills that needed for our community and needed for even all the countries to have a sustainable income from technology. And this really give us an opportunity to meet our government once and twice and 3 times. And I have get all the support I need from having our partnership with people like the United Nations. I have partnership with our Ministry of ICT. I have a big partnership with Tesla, for example, and a lot of organizations that believe in our mission to empower women through technology. And even so, we have this kind of a lot of participants from women from the refugees camps to come to take our training and advanced training to have this kind of income as a sustainable income for herself. Once the woman have this kind of sustainable income, she will raise up with a good generation, raised up with her rights, raised up with knowing better her rights. So this is mainly what we are focusing, to have this kind of a training and advanced training in artificial intelligence, Internet of Things, have this kind of advanced programming from Python or machine learning or deep learning, and how to put all of these together to make this woman and youth accessible for the market needs, and how to make a sustainable income. This is the first thing we had. Then we have the support from our government and our ecosystem to be more supportive for the regulation and supportive for women, and how to make them accessible with technology, especially with COVID-19. The technology is not luxuriant anymore. People in need or in the remote area has the right to have the internet in their place, and have the right to teach them the advanced skills that needed in the future. So why we will make this gap between the people has the luxuriant for the technology, and the people in camps or in the refugees camps or in the remote area doesn't have this kind of luxuriant. So our Galaxy filled this kind of gap, and we make this kind of partnership with local community or organizations that believe in our mission. So yes.
All right. I know if I let you, you can go on and on and on and on, because you're well loaded and you're good at your stuff. Now, I want to ask you this one question: the women you're working with, the women to empower? What exactly is their response? Now, I know in my own experience about technology, the first thing that comes to her mind is a smartphone, how to use Instagram, how to have 1 million.
Yes.
Now, most women don't really see the need to go into the back end. They want to build a program while I can just log into to Instagram and create an account and sort of become a celebrity. Now, what's the response of these women in your own end? How do your perceived need of bringing women into the tech sectors, are they forthcoming? What percentage of them are super excited in this thing, or do you really have to go all out and before bringing them into the sector?
Actually, the first thing that we have to do with women, how to use the right social platform for them. Either it is Facebook or Instagram or even Twitter or whatever she needs for social platform to use it for her project or her mission or her product, for example. So we teach women the first thing, how to use privacy and how to secure herself from the abuse through the internet. Because there is a lot of, to be honest with you, a lot of people had seeking for women to abuse her through the internet and how to hack her account and her private, for example, pictures or whatever data. So the first thing that we have to raise awareness about her security and cyber security and to teach her the ABC of the cyber security to secure her platform that she uses. Either it is a platform like Facebook, as I mentioned, or Instagram. The second thing that we have to train women, if she has a product or she has a service to do, is how to make this platform useful for her product. So how to target the best audience for her, how to make a sustainable income from this kind of social platform. And then after that, we put her in a training, special training called digital marketing skills, how to make these digital marketing skills useful for her product and useful for her project, for example. The other thing that we have to make it for women, actually she mentioned it before, my colleague, that we have to make to be honest with you, what is suitable for her as a service or as a product, and we link her as a freelance entrepreneur through any platform for freelance. For Galaxy, we have this kind of GalaxyAIFuture.com. It is a freelance marketplace where people want a service or want a product from the woman already that we trained her. So we link her with the best platform to put her services online in a secure way for payment or for anything, and in a good way to be professional wise, because a lot of women, they doesn't know how to write the bio, or she doesn't know what is the right place to offer her services or to work online. So this gap make us aware about the woman needs and the youth needs, especially in Jordan. We have a lot of educated women. As the per statistic, we have a lot of educated women, but the percentage of women workforce, it is not exceed 14%, which is the lowest in the region. When we make our statistic for this kind of with the World Bank and the World Economic Forum, we found that women have this kind of obstacles to access the market, especially for the tradition, or she wants to marry, so she's stuck with home and with the kids. The other thing that yeah, it is common with the Arab.
True.
And it is a great mission to be a mom, to be honest, and to raising your kids. But in parallel, you can find this kind of online working or freelance working. But how to make it, how to be representative to offer your services or offer your product. So this is mainly what we are seeking with women, to empower women and to raise her a participant in the workforce, and how to generate a sustainable income from her services or her product.
Thank you so much, Dr. Rimadia. That was exactly what Paul White said about women just taking what they want. She took her time and she made good use of it. Thank you so much. Thank you. Now, Paul White, I'm coming back. I'm coming back to you now. Now, on much of the same note, I will now want to ask you. You've spent a good number of years in this kind of sector that is perceived as male-dominated sectors. So you are in position to tell us the factors that are at play in that sector. Now, and I know you might say it was way back, but what do you perceive? Yeah, how do you perceive that? Is this the old boys club? Does it still hold water? Are women giving that chance? Are they still perceived as leaders? When it comes to combat, are women still placed on the front line? Or I know my dad was in the army, my grandfather the same thing, and they would always say that the women that go to war, they were either nurses in the army or they were cooks in the army. Now, in your own experience, what would you say? Are women do they still need to fight for the right to be on the front lines? Or what mechanics do you think did you notice at play? And the women you met, were they really a force? Were they really that forceful, or were they laid back and looking for permissions to succeed?
Yeah, when I've served in the Royal Navy, and when I was in, women were not allowed on ships. So we had what was called the Women's Royal Naval Service, which was like a support service, secretarial, and one could say lesser jobs. It wasn't true, because all the men there respected our Wrens really well. Now, for the last several years, the Wren service was disbanded, and any woman joining the Royal Navy joined as a sailor in equal terms with the men.
Oh,
and this
wow.
is what I meant about the governments and the social status needing to change from its historical perspective. But picking up on a little bit that Dr. Rima said, my wife, some years ago again, my wife started a recruitment business. And as that began to prove successful, I was in the publishing industry at the time. As that proved to be successful, I actually gave up my job and I became a house husband. And for 6 years, I raised my son, I cooked, I cleaned the house, I did the shopping. Actually, there were 6 very, very good years. After which my son was older and I went back into business again, which eventually found myself as an author, which has also led on to other things. Again, picking up on what Dr. Rima said about teaching people technology. I am not a tech guru by any means, but I started designing book covers for other authors. That led me to become a digital artist, and I wanted stuff to work with, so I become a photographer. So now I'm a photographer, I'm a digital artist, I design book covers, I edit books, I write books. So, but it's growing, and it's growing organically. There's nothing that I set out besides telling somebody a story. There's nothing I set out to be done. But I don't think I would have got there unless I'd taken, I hate to say like a step backwards, but it wasn't. It was a step to the side and become a house husband. So I supported my wife all the way through her business until she sold that. And then we started another business together. But I supported her all the way. And I said, look, you're going to earn more money than me. I can work, but then we're spending a fortune on childcare. And so I'll just back off. I'll stay at home. And it is, I know sometimes the male ego, and in some cultures, the male ego might not allow, or the men might not want to do that. But for me, it was one of the best things I did. It brought me a lot closer to my son. We had a good relationship anyway. He was only 5 years old at the time. So, yeah. As for the other question, the male-dominated section basically was the military. In publishing industry, there's a lot of women. Authorship, there's a lot of women. And our other business we started was a restaurant. I ended up with a couple of restaurants and a cafe and things. Again, all our managers were women. All our top people were actually women. We had barmen most of the time, but
All right, Paul Whyte, I must say that you truly are an amazing kind of person, and a man like you is really hard to come by, especially in where I come from, Nigeria. No Nigerian man will will not allow that. Like a typical Nigerian man, born and brought up in Nigeria, he would he will tell you that he's
they should, because it's a wonderful experience.
Yeah,
it really was.
we still have a whole lot of learning to do. We still have a whole lot of learning to do. Yolanda,
I will say at this stage, if I may, this Easter just gone, my wife died, so I'm a widower. So if there are any women out there who are looking for a husband who will look after their house, give me a call.
I'll take a finder's fee, really.
Welcome to UPSURGE 1.0.
I'll take a finder's fee. We'll start the business. All right. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for this rich contribution. Now, Yolanda, I want to come back to you before I come to Professor Alisa. Yolanda, now I must say there's this thing that's always been on my mind now. Like, when you want to qualify a lawyer, looking like in my own field where they say I'm a programmer, they will say there's a female programmer in the house. Like they say she's a female champion. And well, I find it like a champion is a champion. We really don't need to say she's a female champion. Like, are you trying to imply that among women it's easier to be a champion among women? Or now, does that come to play? I'm not okay. Maybe I was once championing women's economic empowerment, but I don't have much of a title. But for you who has multiple titles, what exactly can you say? How does it feel? Are you less respected? Do you have that impression really that you're less respected because you're a woman in the field? Or do you think that you're being a woman, does that really add credence? Like, oh, she's a woman and she's a champion at martial arts. Is it really an upside or is it a downside? What's your general perception of that? Then give me a moment. One of our guests has been out of the show, so let me see if I can bring her up. I don't know how it goes, but
Evelyn, I must say there's been various different reactions to me being a world champion in Muay Thai. So martial arts used to be a male-dominated sport, but if you look around now, it's not so much a male-dominant sport anymore. There are many female fighters out there, and it's just we're empowering our young girls to aspire to do whatever they want to do. And there are moments where I will say to someone that I'm a martial artist and I'll get the backlash of going, oh, but you're a female. Isn't that a manly sport? And that I'd say comes to the older generation who haven't either lived with women or supported women in their journeys. So I actually did an interview last week where they were saying, well, what can we do about making female Muay Thai bigger? I said, it's not about making female Muay Thai bigger. It's about making Muay Thai bigger. Because if you're an athlete, you're an athlete regardless. Let's put eyes on the sport. It's not about what gender I am. It's promoters wanting to put the best fighters on at the main event. regardless of being male or female. You know, before they wouldn't put females on as the main event because they were concerned it wouldn't sell the tickets. But they were going to sell the tickets. Just, you know, just back them a little bit. And that's where we need that support network. We need women to empower women. We need women to stand up for women. We need to stand up for ourselves. And then we need the men to stand by us who are empowering us to achieve. And it's amazing that there are so many people out there that are still amazed that there are female athletes in a combat sport or other male dominant sports and achieving great things. I received a lot of backlash throughout my career about my body being very manly. And my trainer actually got really angry about one of the posts on social media, and he put together a meme where he had a marathon runner, myself, a weightlifter, and there was another female sports person. And we all had very different body shapes and aesthetics. And he put on that post saying that it doesn't matter what you think is attractive. The common denominator between these four athletes is they're all built to succeed in their sport. So whether you find it attractive or not, it does not matter. So for me, I have a really, really supportive trainer, and I feel that's also helped me along my way in going where I want to go. And I just feel that moving forward, we still need to just maintain that it's the sport that we do. It's not about being a male or a female in that sport, because we're both as equal as each other and our abilities are exactly the same. It's all about this and this.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Yeah, it's all about this and this, the heart and the head. And we believe that when we as women, apart from Paul White, who is not a woman, but when more women learn to put their hearts, when more women learn to put their hearts and their into the things that they do, we will be able to deploy a huge wealth of human capital. And of course, we will definitely make the world a better place. Now, Professor Alisa Whyte, I'm coming over to you. And I know you do so many things, but for this show, I would just like, I'm just hammering on the coaching aspects of what you do. Now, like the first question I asked you was about women and their goals and their aspirations, and I'm still coming back to you about that. Now, when we all are children, I happen to take early years at some point, and when we do a show of hands, and I say, what do you want to be when you grow up? Now, some will say, I want to be a doctor, I want to be a lawyer, I want to be an astronaut, I want to go to space. And you know, we all have you hear all these wild aspirations, because really they don't have the benefit of experience. They've never failed at anything. So now kids have this drive but when they grow up, when you move from that demographic and you move to an older set of people, maybe the younger women, you start hearing goals like, I just want to get married, I just want to be busy, I just want to have something doing, I'm just tired of staying at home. What of course, apart from what I mentioned, what do you think are the factors that limit the aspirations of most women? What do you think stop women from dreaming and from being the things they've dreamt of? And by the way, Susan Olofu, I don't know, Facebook has placed a restriction, so she's unable to join the stream. But the next week, she's actually online, but she can't join. So the next time we have the show, she will be with us. So Alisa, over to you. What exactly do you think is the limitation, is the thing stopping women? Why don't at times you just want to see the drive, you just want to see the push, you just want to hear them say, I'm unstoppable, I'm a force, I can do this, I can do that, and you're not hearing it. You're just hearing things like, I will discuss with my husband and get back to you. I will talk to my dad about it and see how he feels. What really do you think brought us to this point, or is keeping us at this point?
So one of the things I teach in my entrepreneur classes as I did research and come to a certain conclusion, this is a man's world. I know many of you have heard that song. And so I believe that government, academia, our justice systems, they were all designed and initially, historically created by men for men. As Paul pointed out earlier, that in the military, in all the different fields, women can only work in that particular set of positions that would be opened up for women. And so our world has not quite evolved from the creation of systems and procedures and so being as a man's world. And I know it sounds very cliche, but if you do the research, you'll find it there, everything. Now let's go back a bit. Like I said, in my research, I realized, and I'm historically an early childhood teacher. So I use that experience and study, because I've also have a degree in education as well. And what I realized is that we condition a lot, not just women, but men too. So in early childhood, we are lining up. We are supposed to all say a nursery rhyme at the same time and know the ABCs around the same time so we can get over to pre-K and blah, 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 blah. And so that starts there, where we're conditioned to be a certain way. And then as we get older, we're watching our role models as women. We see what, quote unquote, the role of a woman is supposed to be. You cannot be Yolanda Schmidt, really, in most societies. She is an anomaly, right? Still today, women are to be quiet. For example, let's hit a little bit on religion. And you all, I love God, and he's my source in everything. But religion itself conditions women in all faiths. We've seen a tad of like, look, your woman can't be a preacher. I mean, I'm a speaker ever since, but women didn't speak up. And then I remember our church having one or two women on the board, but they were quiet. They were the secretary on the board. So these little things have just crept in, and without us knowing it. And this is why I target the mindset a lot. And I love what Paul said, just get in there and take it. The mindset has infiltrated us, and we are conditioned and we don't even know it. And so now a lot of women, and this is a different type of tokenism, we find ourselves in the position where we're that one woman in the room, and now we're taking on a male sort of persona mindset to function. And I actually coach and teach very advertly, bring the femininity to the room. That's what the men and the whole darn world needs, is for us to come in, be authentic, show up. Here I am. This is me. Here's what I'm great at. Here's what I'm working on. Here are my quirks, but here are my boundaries, guys. And so when we come in like that, we are not coming in to say, you're gonna RESPCT. No. We're coming in and we're observing. And there's a whole system. One of the authors I absolutely love that talks about the women in the workplace in business and leadership is Dorothy Callahan. And she talks about the pink zone and the blue zone. And I really love it. If you go on my website, everything is purple. Not only because it's one of my favorite colors, because I got many, black is also one, but because blue has been representing the boy child and pink, the girl child. You bring those two together, you get purple, right? Scientifically, we know if we mix pink and blue, they become purple. And so the purple zone is where the male and the female meets, and that's where we have success for business. I think one of the best things I've seen happen to the world recently is when our president in the USA, Joe Biden, chose a woman not to be behind him, because they say behind every great man is a woman. He chose our beautiful vice president to be beside him. And so now we're looking at a world, the White House, where one of the greatest countries in the world have brought a male and female, and now we're in the purple zone. And so we're in a much more progressive place from my perspective. Also, when we see the blue and pink zone come together to bring purple, we get to solve solutions in a different way. Women are by nature complex problem solvers. Women function from a place of let's work in a group. Men function in the place of anatomy, where they're like, this is me, I'm over here, I got these tasks, this procedure, let me get it done and do really great. And women are like, well, who all do we need to get the input and understanding? Women take us back to that grassroots sort of procedure where we bring everyone in, get to see what the problem is, what's causing the problem, let's solve the problem. You bring those two together, kaboom. Look at COVID-19. Dude said we should do this, we should do that. And then like, oh, but here are the problems that we had after. You bring a woman there, she's going to bring in the people who are out here really suffering to ask their input and advice. And then we're going to have a more sustainable solution to the complex problem where we're not just fixing one thing, but we're really going into the problem, dissecting and solving the problem. So this is why we need women to be, women's rights are not just women's rights, they're human rights. And so we must look at it that way and bring women to the table every time. The thing is, I say to my sisters is, when you get in there, go and bring other sisters with you. They're not your competition. Bring them with you.
Yeah, thank you so much, Professor Alisa. Thank you, thank you. The purple zone. Yeah, I'll have that in mind. No wonder I see a lot of purple around you, your website, your brand colors, and I was wondering that she's just a purple. Maybe she loves royalty. I never knew it was the purple zone. We should be rounding up right about now, but before we round up, Dr. Rimat Yab, I want to ask you this question. They used to say there's only one seat at the table, or there's only a seat at the table for one woman. How does that, does that reality still hold true? I'll come around and just ask for closing words, but for now I want to ask you, does that reality still hold true? When you got into Tesla, when you get into all these mighty things you do, how many women do you see sitting at the table, and is there still more room? Now, if Alisa Whyte invites me to the table, hope I'm not going to unseat her and take over her seat because there's just one seat at the table for one. How true does that reality hold? Okay,
actually, it is a great question, but all the time I feel alone, you know, because I'm the only woman on the table. Especially I have been delegated with official delegation with our King, His Majesty, in Singapore. We went an official delegation in Germany, and I was delegated to be one of the toppest 100 women in technology in San Francisco. It was very hard for you to see yourself as a lone woman with well-structured men in their tuxedo or sometimes in their suits. So sometimes I put my my touch, my feminine touch in my for example, they said to me, you are fashionista, you always wear bright colors, you always wear white. So this is the trick you have to be, because if I wear like them a suit with the color of black, I will be like them, you know. No, I will be like the only one. So I choose this kind of feminist touch, that I have to be fashionista and fashionable in my wear, and with my smile, because I have attractive smile. So with this so so it is good. As she mentioned, you have to put your boundaries, so they respect you actually. But as a statistic, only 1% of women being in the CEO level, or in the C level. So it is not in Jordan, it is globally. So it is male for the business all around the world, but not put the woman in the C level for tradition or for the community or whatever the obstacles that put the woman in the C level. So what we are doing now, that to enhance the woman, by mentor them, by giving them the right skills, by giving them the right mentorship program to put them in the right track, on the right path, to be in the C level if she want. Because as I know, woman doesn't apply for any C level job because she said that I'm not qualified. But for men, he all the time sent his CV, you know, because he very proud of himself as a male or of his qualification. But woman doesn't send her CV or apply for any job if it is on the checklist 100%. even if it is 80%, she should apply. She said to herself that I will never underestimate my qualification or myself to this position. Tesla, all the women said to me, how you being in Tesla, or how you have been in San Francisco in the Silicon Valley with Google, with Twitter, with LinkedIn CEOs. I said, I'm Rima Diab as well. You know, you have to be proud that you are this kind of person with this. You are, yani, alhamdulillah, each person have worked hard on his CV, on his qualification, on his personality. So you should be proud of yourself. And even you don't hear the claps for you, clap for yourself. I always said that to them. Thank you. You mentioned all the time we have surrounded ourselves with negative people. People doesn't want you to be on this kind of the top of the mountain, because they afraid from your successful, from your ambitious, from your big goals or big dreams. They want to be you, but they cannot afford it for themselves because they doesn't maybe have the trust of themselves or any kind of reason. That's why I'm mentioning that each time I'm in the top, I bring a woman with me, because it is equal for me or her. I will never push a woman from my side. That's why we have this kind of strong communication with women, especially in Galaxy, that she should to be on the top on the artificial intelligence programming and Python or machine learning or deep learning. This is the secret, that we have to believe in ourselves, have to be mentoring for other women that she needs this kind of support. We need to be believe in ourselves more than the men or the male believing in ours. You know, we have to take our rights, not to offer them to give it us. You know, this is my rules in life.
All right, thank you, Dr. Rima. I'll take it like this. Those were your closing words, and I must say two things. My kids told me one thing about you. I've not mentioned it, but when they looked at your picture, one of your stories, they said she is hot, and I say yeah, and then the hijab, the hijab, and the heels, and the pants, everything was just perfect. And also what you said about celebrating yourself, I think Alisa made a post yesterday, and she said she was just going ahead to clap for herself, and I said way to go. So I think we're all in the flow. Now we're coming to the end of today's show, so I would ask Yolanda first, your parting words to the society, your parting words to the girl who wants to go into martial arts, your parting words to the woman who wants to be a world champion in whatever it is, in cooking, in hairdressing, in mechanics, in electrical engineering. What would you say to her? What will be your final words to her, Yolanda?
Thank you. My final words to her will be, you do you. You do what you want to do. If that's passion for you, you do that. And be the girl who will fix another girl's tiara rather than telling the world it's crooked. You know, you need to support one another and be there for each other always.
Wow. Thank you so much, Yolanda. Yeah, Professor, what will be your parting words? What are you living? What should we remember about you when you leave this show? What will be the last thing you will say to us today, Professor Alisa Whyte?
The last thing I'd like to say is that, and I'd like to say this to my sisters, wherever you are in the world, being around great women does not take away from your greatness. And so just like, I can't say it any better than Yolanda said, is you be you, show up, be your authentic self in the world, know who you are, understand your purpose, because with purpose and that understanding, your confidence is shot up almost by 100%. And so it's not just about staying in your lane, but just be you. You are enough to be whatever it is you dream of. And listen, you have a right to change your mind at any given time. It's not a competition with men. It's not a competition with your other sister, no matter where in the world she is. And one thing I have to say, whenever you go where you're going, don't forget to bring another woman with you.
All right. Thank you. This conversation has really been one thing. And I'll come to Paul Whyte. Paul Whyte, what would you say to everyone in this conversation? How would you like to round up the conversation today?
I will quote another woman. I will quote my mother. And something she always told us kids, there is no such word as can't.
All right. Thank you, everyone. Thank you so much. That brings us to the end of this conversation. Even though we still have 60 seconds to go, and even though our fifth guest, Susan Agada from Oxfam, she's been online. She's been trying to come in, but I really don't know what's happening, and I just felt I should not. I should stay focused on this conversation. But it's been such an honor. It's been such an inspiration talking to every one of you. And I want to believe that everyone who has listened to us has really felt your energy and has really been inspired by everything that you have to say. So thank you so much for coming. And let's keep the conversation going in our various communities. As we go offline, let's make sure we don't stop talking about it. Let's make sure everyone is doing it. Everyone is creating a place for women. Everyone is making sure women can fend for themselves. They can do great things. They can achieve their goals. And as we do this, we believe that one step at a time, we're making the world a better place. One woman at a time, we are making the world a better place. Thank you so much for listening. Thank you for joining me. Yeah, I truly wish we could go on and on and on.